Hi, gang. It's Mark Gilliard again, and I want to welcome you to your new favorite song here on AIM Country Music Television. My guest today is Pete Schlegel. Raised on an Ohio dairy farm, Pete has spent a fair amount of time milking cows. He's been a state trooper. He's worked as an EMS helicopter pilot. Pete loved country music from his days in the barn, but didn't move to Nashville to pursue his dream until 2002, where he quickly went to work with producer Clyde Brooks to produce his first album, Strong Stuff. This album, his very first, produced 3 singles that made it onto the national charts. Pete has released 4 more albums over the years, and he'll have a new one for us very shortly. Pete's here today to talk about the video for his song, The River. So let's get him in here right now to talk about what might just be your new favorite song. Pete Schlegel, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gillett.
You are very welcome. Glad to have you here today. You've got quite a catalog. I've been playing through some of it on Spotify. You've got 5 full albums on there. Somehow I've become aware of you just in the last year or so, starting with your song Glasses. I can't explain it other than Steve Baker, your video promote guy. He's put my nose on it, smacked me with a newspaper, and said, "Let's see about this." So, let's rectify this situation with an intro. Please take the floor and just tell us about it. You know what you've done, what you're up to in the moment, and where you're heading.
Well, I'll tell you, I tell people a lot of times, they ask me this. I'm like Forrest Gump. I've done a lot of different things. I actually started out early in my life as a dairy farm kid in Ohio, of all places, and just enjoyed music. Got to be around my grandfather. Fast forward through a few years, I went on and became in law enforcement, became a state trooper, went on to fly helicopters and flew EMS programs. Well, when I started flying EMS, anybody that's in that type of work understands there's a 7 on, 7 day off type situation. Well, I got involved in music, and then the rest is kind of history. I lucked out and had some, it takes a whole lot of liquor to like her hit pretty early in my career, opened up a bunch of doors for me. I don't know, I think around 2002, I went into just doing music full time, ended up touring with Daryl Singletary and Jeff Carson, open for a whole bunch of people, just like anybody would. But we got to play quite a bit, and now I am talking to you.
There you go. Well, that first album came out like 2003, 2004. It was followed by another one in just a couple of years. But then there's this pause where you didn't release an album until like 2014. And what were you up to in those years?
I went back home on the family farm and just helped on the farm. My family still farms. We got into private business. I don't know. I ran hard on those two albums, but country, the pendulum kind of swung, at the end of that little run with Daryl. That's when, I remember Jason Aldean had started to come onto the scene, and just the music in general was changing. And I refused to change. I was more of a traditional artist, with some comedy songs. So just basically kind of went away and did my own thing. Kind of did a Garth Brooks, but on a much smaller level.
Just about everything's on a smaller level than that. Well, it seems to me like the world would have really changed by the time you pop back on in 2014. You're kind of in a unique position. You had that experience of 2002. Working successful musician. And then take off for this, this time period, but back at it in 2014. How different was it trying to reach the world then as opposed to 2002? I mean, like talking to artists now, it's all about social media. And
it was so much easier. Back then, you didn't have, towards the end of when I was kind of starting to slow down, that's when Facebook just started, So, it's been a blessing, but also a curse, I think, to the music business, the internet thing. It's helped independent artists, hands down, and selling music and that. But yeah, it was a total different, I remember going, having little CD stands at little stores all around my region. And I physically was the route salesman. I would go and replenish my CDs, whoever would sell them for me. But, I sold a lot of CDs. I was pretty creative back then. And then, of course, now, like you said, everything changed.
Exactly. Well, you seem pretty well suited to take it on. You do have the experience before, and you're kind of out there cruising on it now. So I think it's going to work for you. How would you describe your music to someone who hasn't heard it yet? Like to get them to take the time to check you out.
I know a lot of people probably follow Saving Country Music. They're pretty active in the traditional country realm of the internet. He described me as a cross between Mark Chestnut and Don Williams, which I thought was a huge compliment. But I'm definitely a traditionalist. I feel like I learned a lot from Daryl Singletary and being out on the road with him. So, and everybody knows, kind of what Daryl was like, and I would consider myself way on that. The Zach Pops of today, Jake Worthington of today. I was them, but much 15, 17 yeyears ago.
Right, sure, sure. I read that you do solo and shows with group. Do you favor one or the other? And like, what do you mostly? Do you have a band you always tour with, or is that
I
hired
I
hands?
do. I do either or. I learned early on in my career I'm never going to be a Brad Paisley as far as a picker or anyone like that. So I'm much more in a comfort zone having a band with me or at least another player. Now, can I play guitar? Absolutely. But I call it campfire, campground playing, and I do play all my own songs, and I write most of my songs nowadays. But I'm also seasoned enough that if I hear a good song and I didn't write it, I'm not afraid to record it.
That's awesome. That's a good spot to be.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Now, we're here today to talk about your song, The River. It's a song about that terrible flooding disaster in the Carolinas and Tennessee, and it's serving as a fundraiser for the disaster relief across the area.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about it before we play it, just to kind of get people, kind of in the vein of this song.
Well, what's really crazy about it, when I was doing an album, I'm trying to think of the album. It's the black one behind me here. When I was doing that album, we had recorded it earlier, and it originally kind of was, the thought process was more of the St. Louis flooding back in that era. And then when the Carolina floods happened, it had just been an album cut, never, any promotion was ever put on it. And I told the co-writer, Jeff Bowen, I said, Jeff, this song is the North Carolina, East Tennessee thing to a T. And he agreed. And, luckily, some guys here in Knoxville that I work with on a regular basis, promotion company, they thought it was a great song too. So they were able to reach out to the North Carolina Department of Transportation, got some actual footage, and we, put it in the video.
I wondered about that. I've already seen it, so I kind of wondered about where that footage came from, because you had it's pretty interesting. How about we play it now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Wonderful. You're watching Pete Schlegel's video for The River here on AIM Country Music Television.
Well, that rain kept a-falling down. The sky cried for days. That river kept a-rising, inch by inch, day by day. The crops were in the field, and I had cut down all of my hay. Tell me, what can you do when the river washes your whole life away? I built this house with my two hands. I worked on it every day. While working 40 hours at the plant, so I could get my pay. And I gave Uncle Sam his fair share every week when I got paid. Tell me, where's Uncle Sam? Now the river's washed my whole life away. Yeah, hurricanes. It don't seem we are being treated quite the same. Where are all the Hollywood celebrities? You don't see a thing about us on that damn TV. So I guess I'll have to trust in God and get on my knees and pray. 'Cause what else can I do? Now the river's washed my whole life away. Tell me, what else can you do when the river washes your whole life away?
Well, that's a powerful song. I hope it does well for two reasons. On its own, it's a great song, but we're supporting a really good cause too.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, and this kind of fell out of the news. Really, you don't hear much about it anymore.
You don't, but I keep seeing things on social media, at least, where people are saying that they're still
Oh, yeah.
suffering with it, haven't gotten the relief they really need. So
It's
to me, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's only 100, but it's about the most of the, well, where 40 collapsed is about 120 miles from where I live.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not far. It's far enough where we didn't see any damage. We got some rain, but yeah, it's a mess, and people are homeless and living in tents without heat. And it's today it's nice here in Tennessee, but it's cold,
Cold, yeah, cold is the problem when your house has been knocked down.
Yeah, sure is.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck with this, because I think this is really going for a good cause.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I also read you've got a new album coming out. When is that? Tell us what we should be looking for on the new album.
I just finished it. I just got to hear the last couple tracks actually in the last few days. Well, I'm going to do something different. I've never pressed a vinyl, so we're going to start out with a limited edition pressing of vinyl. I talked to them a little bit, and it sounds like that could be 8 weeks away, and then it'll be released digitally. Obviously, it has 10 songs on it. I'm calling it odds and ends. It's some songs that I have written in the past that never really did anything with, and it's also some songs that I've been in love with for a long time that I didn't write. So it's a little bit of a mix.
Right. Well, cool. We'll look forward to it.
Yes, sir.
So, how many songs do you have just laying around waiting to be finished up and made into a
Oh man, that's a good
entity?
question. I have a lot of ideas and little clips. I'm that type of writer where I'll write down a note, or maybe something will be said to me, or could even be something me and you talk about, and I'll be like, that's kind of interesting, and I might make a note about it, and that's how I write. The only time I've written a song, just sat down and wrote a song, was called "No More Haggard," and it happened to be the day that Merle Haggard died, and I just seen it on the news, and I'm like, wow, there's no more Haggard, and it just came to me in about 30 minutes. But that's not my normal, and I don't set and make appointments and push. It just has to come to me.
Right. Yeah. I've talked to several people who basically go to songwriter rounds and work on it that way. But it sounds like that would really be hard to try to write, as opposed to just kind of being inspired with it. So
Yeah, for me, it's kind of forcing it. I mean, I'm not saying I couldn't do that, but I don't know. It's just not what I. Sometimes I'll in the early morning hours when I'm kind of waking up, I almost have many little dreams, and I've already woke up before. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta write that down. So I don't know if it's subliminal stuff that happens, or who knows.
Might be some of your best.
Yeah, I hope.
Well, I really enjoyed the visit today, but before I let you go, tell us where to find you on stage, online, and where we can buy or listen to all of your music.
Well, I'm on all the Spotify's, the YouTube thing. I've got Facebook. I don't know. We've got 70 some thousand people. That seems to be my strongest place. But I'm gonna spell my name real slow, and if you Google that, it's probably gonna be the best. Of course, got a website and all that. But it's Pete, Pete Schlegel, and that's Schlegel. So just PeteSchlegel.com. Pete Schlegel on Facebook. I think I'm one of the top, searchers or whatever. Same thing with on YouTube. But I wasn't blessed to get the countryest name, and I'm very proud of my grandfather's name, so I'm not going to change my name.
There you go. I would stick with it. Everybody needs a unique name.
Yes, of course.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Pete. It's been great having you here today.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Schlegel. So, what do you guys think? Is The River going to be your new favorite song? This has been Mark Gillia for In Country Music Television. Thank you so much for watching.